Hey, what's going on, everybody? Anthony here, ABJ. For episode 150, we'll get started here momentarily. Just want to give a quick shout out to our world champ level YouTube member tier support system, Freak Maniac 90210. If you guys want to support the podcast, there are ways of doing that. Tips and donations are always accepted when it comes to the super chats on YouTube, as well as YouTube memberships, Patreon, and there's merchandise and stuff below. But always make sure to check the links below to follow myself on social media, as well as support my guests with all their links below and the upcoming event that we're going to be talking about here on this show. Here's some music by the Converse Kid, and let's get straight into this interview. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back and live as a cat just dive bombs behind me for another podcast live here, episode 150 with Misfit. We're diving again into the drag community, which I'm super excited about. So we're going to learn more about another form of drag. So we've had drag queens and drag kings, and now we're going to be diving into the monsters, which I'm really pumped for. I think that's my niche. I love all drag. I'm appreciating of all of it, but we'll talk more about why I think that the monsters more, Mike. I mean, I think if you know me as a person, you'll find out why the monster thing is definitely for me. The show will be in Harrisburg. I will get all the events information will be linked below as well. We'll talk about it here momentarily, but it's going to be the Say Gay brunch is the big thing we're talking about here today. So without further ado, let me bring in my guest, the straight from hell themselves, you know, look at the background, the hell, Misfit. What is going on?
Hello. Hi.
How you doing?
Fabulous.
So we first met at a Trixie Valentine show for the at the Sanctuary, which was a lot of fun.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it's a cool venue. It's very cool.
It was one of my favorite venues I've ever performed at, especially since I knew it was a wrestling rink. I knew that, so then I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting. And then when I pulled up, it was a church, and I texted my friend. I was like, is it a church? Okay. Cool.
Yeah. it's a church that does pro wrestling, drag, and all sorts of art and stuff, which is really cool. I believe there's a show coming. The finals is coming up very soon. So make sure everyone goes over and checks that out. Trixie puts on great shows. That was my introduction to drag. I've never seen a drag performance up until those competitions, and it hooked me. I fell in love with it. I have so much fun now going to different shows and seeing them in different formats because I thought that was just the drag format. Yeah. So, and then from there
are shows, they're like battles. So I love that that's just what it is. We just battle, which we do. But then there's also like the brunches and the other chill stuff in the bars and stuff, which is a little less like intense.
Yeah, less in your face. I love the competition.
I do too. It was so much fun. And you guys also have like all these awesome cameras and you're recording things and stuff. It was the most high level thing I've ever experienced. So yeah, it's a little bit different in the bars.
I feel needs to happen more at drag shows.
Yeah.
So going to more drag shows
all the time. I watch it constantly.
Yes. it doesn't take much to put like how I would call a hard cam on the back of the room where you would work the crowd in the runway anyway. Yeah. Put a camera there, and if you had someone who's closer to get a closer shot of stage work, awesome. But just someone to invest in 2 decent cameras and just record the shows. I feel there's so many drag performances that get lost that aren't recorded, and the only way you really see them is if you go to the show physically.
Correct. Yeah, you guys got every single angle, every single like. I just felt like I was like on TV, like literally. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that might be something I might have to start diving into. I have equipment. I don't really use it as much as I would. Like show up at drag shows and be like, "Do you want this filmed? I'll put a camera in the back." You know what I mean? Like. I think that'd be maybe this weekend or this upcoming show will be filmed. Maybe I'll bring some stuff.
That would be so nice, especially because like, you know, you can get what you want on phones and stuff, but the level of what you can do with the equipment, right, and where you can shoot, it just is different. It's just a different level of enhancement that we all don't get. So we really appreciate when somebody does get it.
Yeah, maybe we'll mess around with it. Myself and Lily will play production a little bit Saturday. We'll have some or Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. So let's talk about the event a little bit. Say Gay
Yeah.
Brunch in Harrisburg. Where's it going to be at, and what inspired you to put this show together?
Yeah, sure. So it's at Zero Day, which is over here in Harrisburg on Third Street.
They make
If you're
amazing
not
beer.
familiar where Third Street is, like most people know where HMAC is over there. They
Hmm.
hold huge venues for concerts. It's like right up the street there. So what made me kind of want to do it there was I'm local to the area. I go there for brunches and just with my friends and stuff like that. And when I was there, it just was a good area. And then I saw on their TVs that they were advertising for a comedy show. And I was like, oh, well, I wonder if they would be open to doing like a brunch, like a drag brunch. And so one of my good friends, he's like the head chef there. And I was like, oh my God. And so we were just talking at the bar and he was asking me how my drag was going and stuff. And so then one of the bartenders overheard and then was asking me about it and they knew who I was, which was so nice and so humbling. I was like, oh my God. And so then they went over and got the manager and the manager was very excited about it because they haven't had drag at the Zero Day location since before the pandemic. And that they're a new manager at Zero Day, so they really don't know many of the local queens or like the scene or anything like that, but they really want to bring it back. And so I showed them some of my drag and they were like, that's interesting. And I was like, thank you. And so I also shared that, like, because of my experience and stuff in the area, because I do stuff over at Brownstone. That's like my home bar down in Harrisburg because I started doing Drag Race Alley, which is we watch Drag Race there every Friday night. Right now we're watching All Stars, hopefully Dragula. Knock on wood.
I'm
Yeah,
fucking
a
there
lot of
for
people have been
Dragon.
wanting. Yeah, a lot of people wanting Dragula. And so because of that, I've just gotten to know so many of the queens and also doing other shows, right? Like Trixie's show and just so many other shows in the area. So, and when we do Drag Race, we usually have queens come and perform the first Friday of every month. So that's gotten so big that I was like, well, I know a lot of queens too in the area that would die to do a brunch. There are two other queens that do brunches and they're killer, but like I wanted my own. Like at the end of the day, I just wanted to see if I could do it and I wanted my own. Also to book more drag monsters too, right? I like themed brunches, which I will totally do. Like theme brunches, probably soon I'll do an emo brunch, which I think will be really fun. But for this first brunch, I kind of just wanted it to be opened. Of course, it's Pride, but which is why I was like, say gay. I love that. Mainly because I'm the MC and I want to be on the mic and be like, everybody say gay, gay. Like, I just want that vibe. I want it to be a fun time. But I wanted the queens to be able to do whatever they wanted, to really express who they are as a queen and just do that. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to do throughout. And yeah, they want to do more shows and stuff, which is going to be really cool. We discussed doing like an open call night to just kind of have like maybe 10 queens come and do their own thing and be a competition in some rest respect, and they get like beer, like a free like case of beer and like a little sash, something like that,
Oh,
just to
there's
be
beer
able to
involved. I might throw makeup on. I'm just saying, 0 day beers are
right.
very good. I'm just,
Yeah, and just to be able, that was the other reason I was like, this would be such a good location. It's big and then they have great food, so we're gonna have like a little menu on Sunday and then like the drinks and stuff. But just to be able to have my own show, to be able to bring more queens in that don't always get booked, but then to showcase all kinds of drag, which a lot of the brunches that we have, they do that. But there are some things that I see at brunches and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have saw that and I didn't get to, or like I wish I would have saw that queen and I didn't get to. And so I think this would be a fun opportunity. And then, like I said, doing the open call would allow newer queens, like baby
yeah.
queens, to come. And my brunch is an all ages brunch, which is very different than some of the other ones, just because it's hard to find a location where you can have younger people come and be able to experience that. And so I've gotten a lot of good feedback about that too, like how excited, especially like the 18 through 20-year olds. They're all like,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm like, okay. Like, so
Well,
they're
I
really
mean,
excited.
I'm not gonna date you our age here, but I'm older. I'm 37, and I think my generation was really lucky to have underage spots. Like we had like the local roller rink in Pottsville. We had a lot of places that did like we had a memory lane, which is like the Schuylkill Mall, and they were
Mhm.
underage clubs where you were a kid and you can go and see a band of kids your age being punk and emo and like we don't really have that anymore, but that
Mhm.
was so vital to my youth growing up, like to go to an underage club or bar, but it wasn't serving alcohol. And you had that club experience. It was
Right.
beautiful. I loved it. And like you
Mhm.
see a local shitty band of like 15 to 6-year-olds make noise on equipment, and you're just like
This is great.
punk as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and now all those bands are amazing. And a lot of our local scene's music is so talented because we had those opportunities and places for people to express and get good, because you're gonna
Mhm.
suck for a while, but you need to like sucking at a younger age and getting better. Like Kurt Cobain and Dave Grohl said the best. He's like, people think, you know, you get in the industry and you have to be good right away because all these TV competitions. He goes, Nirvana started off as a bunch of people in a band who sucked at their instruments, and we got good because we worked at it. You know what I mean? Like,
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Now,
feel like any drag performer could say the same thing with makeup, with their hair, wigs, dancing,
yeah,
anything. Yeah.
100%. Now, one of the things I think when it comes to me that I wish was done more in drag, just kind of having more experiences, I love the fact, like, I'm learning as I go, but we did. I love the cup, by the way. I seen that at Pride yesterday. So all the sexy horror creatures. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it says I like bad boys. It's really cool. I didn't get it at a Pride event. One of my friends brought it to me. I think they got it off TikTok or something. But
Yeah,
it's my
somebody
favorite.
was selling it at Pride because I was the only color I picked up. I was like, this is hilarious. Yeah. But knowing the different styles of drag, like there's more than just drag queens. There's drag kings. There's because I think like for outsiders, right? So like I look at it like as pro wrestling, same with drag. So pro wrestling is something that a lot of people look from an outside bubble, and there's things to it that people don't understand. Like there's comedy wrestling, there's androgyny wrestling, there's wrestlers like people see like as almost like a drag performance, like it is but it isn't. But like breaking that down and having those conversations are good, and I think that's what allows more people to come up and identify more and support it. So like I didn't realize that, you know, I like, and if I'm tiptoeing here, it's because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like where females
nice
can perform in drag, or but they can perform and they're presenting more masculine or male, or how you're doing with the monsters thing. Like, and there's all different layers and levels to this industry that people do things. Sierra in the chat has a really cool, I don't want to say the wrong term, but gimmick, like where they do bugs, like they dress up as different bugs.
I'm wearing their jewelry, actually. I'm so happy they're on. I also had their business card in case I had to like blow them up. But yeah, I got this at the Pride event this last Saturday, and I'm obsessed. Like but they have their little like tentacles and their thing. It's so cool.
Yeah, and I didn't know that was a thing. Like if I just seen like clips, like I never watched a drag race, but I seen like on TV, and I just thought it was just in that box, if that makes sense. And then learning more about the industry, it's just so wide open. It's like, oh, that's really cool. And we'll kind of dive into how the negative aspects, and it's not negative in within the community, it's negative people how they perceive it. And the huge reason why I love to have these conversations and give a platform, my engagement's through the roof, but it's the first time in my engagement where I'm getting negative engagement. And I try to invoke more conversation, but those people don't want to hear it. They just want to be rude. So I have to delete comments. Like I had videos up yesterday that got horrible shit. And I was just like, you feel better? You feel good about yourself that that's what you commented on your fake profile with no, and you're private and you don't post anything because you're a coward, essentially, is what it comes down to. But people say like, oh, they see maybe a performers that is more themed for adults. But not every drag show is like that. Like professional wrestling, there's shows you could take a kid to go see wrestling, and it's for kids. It's for all ages. Then there's death match that you don't bring a kid to. There may be, you know, very close to nudity. There may be blood, violence, gore. That's not for kids. But you cannot label that one performance for the entire art. So when a drag performer is reading books to children, they're not coming as an X-rated adult themed show. They're more of an all-age performer, and it's showing inclusivity and showing that you can be whatever you want to be. And it's not a negative thing, but media is disgusting. Yeah.
I was gonna say the outfit that I'm wearing today, because I've been asked so many times to do the drag like the drag story times. I wouldn't wear something like this there, right? I would be fully clothed. Like we just had a drag like the Halifax, we did Valley Pride, right? And so there's so many kids there, so you have to accommodate what your songs are for that, how you're dancing for that, what you're wearing, just to be able to. And even for my all ages brunch, I've told the girls, you know, you can do things that are campy and extra and that other thing, but watch the vulgarity, watch some of the like watch some of the things, because there might be younger children, we don't really know, but you can have a backup song if you really want to after you see the crowd. Do you know what I mean? So it's always giving them that option. But I think it's always very funny when people are like, oh, we're trying to spread like an agenda, or we're trying to like change them. I'm like, half of the queens don't think that. We're literally just putting on makeup, going to the clubs, making money for rent or whatever we want, and then we go home and we eat Taco Bell. Like that's really my life. And I agree with, like, I can, like, tons of other queens can agree with me on that. Like we were like, we don't want to do that. No thanks. And a lot of them don't want to like be around kids half the time. You know what I mean?
No,
but my
kids
drag,
are cool.
for some reason, they love it.
Yeah.
My drag, I didn't get into like being a drag queen for. It was mainly for my actual inner child. But like and it wasn't for other children, but I've learned that kids love my drag. Like when I do like drag, pride events and things, like that's really what I've learned. I was like, oh wow, they really like me. They think I'm Maleficent or some sort of interesting character out of their stories. And so of course it's always like a little different, you know. I always have to accommodate with what I'm doing, just as like if I'm like in my normal life, I work, you know, with people with disabilities and things that you have to accommodate, you
Mhm.
have to work with people, you know, so it's
Yeah.
just the same thing.
And the more you culture yourself and learn about different scenes and stuff, that's the whole reason I started this podcast, is to learn about the things that make people uncomfortable, or about scenes you aren't used to, or if there's a movie or a style of music you're not into, you just lean into it, and you kind of, even if you don't like it, at least you're cultured enough to give it a shot, and you can have an educated conversation of why you don't like it. But to say you don't like something but you never experienced it, I can't even entertain a conversation, because you weren't even willing to try. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and you were just talking about like how people, the different forms of drag and things like that. I have so many fun conversations, of course, when I'm in drag and people ask me what my gender is and this, that. And most of the time I go, what do you think it is? I always start it off with that. And then they try to figure it out. And then when they do figure out that I am an AFAB, so, you know, biologically I'm female, but I go as non-binary because I've always kind of been that way. And so, except when I'm in Misfit, I'm definitely more femme. I feel more feminized. And so,
Yes.
um, that's kind of what I try to explain to them when they say, oh, well, like women can't do drag. And I was like, well, see, drag's an art form. Drag isn't necessarily a gender based. It's not like football or sport, or, you know, or whatever you want to call it. It's very open to interpretation. And then, you know, some people don't want to talk about it, right? Like they go into like, oh well, like trans people should not be doing drag. That confuses, because it's like a whole, and I'm like, okay, well, and then once you get into that conversation with someone, you kind of know where to pick your battles, because they're just like, nope, they're not open to talking to that. They're not, you know, so we're just going to try to like deflect and diffuse this conversation and move on. But, you know, most people, when I explain like it's an art form and you can do whatever you want, and they're pretty open with that. And then they
Yeah.
want to know how I got involved in doing it and stuff like that. But yeah, I really love each interpretation of drag. You were saying earlier on Drag Race, you only really see hyper feminine drag, which I will say I've pulled from. Like some of my inspirations are like Violet Chachki, and I love Trixie. There's so many people that like I just love. You know, Gottmik, but like, you know, Gottmik came a little after I started doing drag, so I thought it was kind of cool how like I was like, oh hey, so that was kind of nice. But it's nice to see on Drag Race that there are more trans people, and there are more, you know, clowny queens and campy queens, and I don't know, just it's not like Dragula, I would say. You know, I wish it was more progressive like Dragula, because you get to see the drag kings, you get to see the hyper femme, you get to see horror, you get to see so many different
Punk
aspects of
filth.
stuff.
The filth
Still,
gets me every
right,
time.
right. So you get to see, and you still get to see that campiness. You still get to see that clown comedy kind of. There's so. I wish that Drag Race hopefully will progress more, but it is what it is, and it's
Honestly,
getting
I'm
Emmys. So
terrified
like,
to watch Drag Race, because
yeah,
I started with Dragula, and I don't know if I can go the other direction now.
it's
I think I'll be
yeah,
bored. Like, no
it,
disrespect to the other
I
one,
get it.
but it's so hyper niche for me.
Oh yeah, Dragula is way different too, because it's like it gives you a fear factor element, and then drag to an
Yeah.
upscale. And I've always said too to people why I like Dragula more is because, you know, with Drag Race you kind of know what you're, not saying they know what they're getting themselves into. They know what some of the things might be, so they can prep, they can get their outfits ready, yada yada yada. With Dragula they have to come with like their goo and prosthetics and blood and all the other things, and then they get to know the challenge, and they have like two days, like 1 or 2 days to make something there, like every
Yeah.
time, like every single day or every single challenge they have to make something new, which is way different than Drag Race. So I feel like they are just like a different level of queen to me, because I couldn't make half the stuff they do in 2 days. Like it's insane
Yeah.
what they can do.
I wish they talked about that more though on the show, because the way they cut it, at least I'm only into season 1 and halfway through season 2, so they don't really, like, sometimes they show up in a different outfit and then it's kind of close to makeup wise what they're gonna go for, and I was like, well, how did they know the challenge beforehand? Because I'm always trying to overthink it, because I pro wrestling,
I
but
feel
like
like they might, kind of similar to Drag Race, but then still they still have to make it, right? So then there's still just like all these pieces, and then they have to like figure out how they're going to put it together and yada yada yada. I did actually, when Sigourney Beaver came to JB's over here, I asked her. I was like, I need to know. I was like, in Dragula, how they splice it together when you guys are doing your makeup, because when they do their makeup, it's like the lights go off and they're like, do come ready, get ready, whatever the frick they say. They're not even done. And I'm like, do you have more time after that goes off to do your face? Like, there's no way they let you go half-ass like onto the stage. She's like, no, like they do that for the effect. Like, we do have time after. I was like, I would be pissed if I was
yeah.
like half painted and they're like, go. And I'm like, no, we're not done. So I needed to know, because that always got me, because I've watched all the seasons, and every season they're getting ready and they're like half painted and they do this alarm and they have to, like, they're freaking out. And I'm like, do they have to literally go on stage right now? They're not even done. Like, it's absurd. But no, she said they gave them more time, which is good. But yeah, it's just a whole different level of a queen, I feel like. But then there's also, I feel like there's that interpretation where we were talking about earlier with drag kings, like, because
Mhm.
I'm a female, I have to do drag king stuff. And I've had a lot of people ask me if I'm going to do like a Mr. Misfit. And I'm not saying I wouldn't. It would be fun to like explore and do just to see how I feel. But that's not like what I would want to do. It just, I don't know. This is just kind of my shtick at this point.
Yeah,
It
I
just
love it. I
works.
love it. I
Thank
when
you.
you came out in all red, I was like, this is sick. I mean, I love occulty, spooky horror. And when you came
Yeah.
out all red, I was like,
Yeah.
this is dope. I had
Too.
like I have so much devilish stuff for my content. So
Yeah.
I lean into it a little bit, only not because I'm like anti-Christian. I mean, maybe a little bit, but
I get
but
it.
it's
It's okay.
yeah, but it's more of like I'm more the occulty side in that, because most of the stuff when it comes to, if you find people in that niche, are more accepting of other people than the other side, you know?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with the devil's. I mean, in my normal day to day, I'm very into like gothic, emo, witchy, all the aesthetic. And a lot of people are like, well, how'd this come about? And I'm like, honestly, it just did. It just, like, there was a thought in my head that I wanted to do, that I've seen. I really like, if you've seen Scooby Doo,
Mhm.
the vampire gals. I can't think of what they are right now. Oh my goodness. It's gonna kill me. If you're watching in the comments, leave the comment, because I can't think of them right now. But like, these sisters, they were very witchy and they were in a band and everything. And I just loved that. So I was thinking of all the different cartoons and different like shows and stuff and animes that I've watched. And I was like, and I love D&D. So I was like, oh, Tiefling, like, how cool would that be in real life? And so just started playing around and it kind of worked. Yeah.
So you have your look to like tonight gives me a little bit of vibes of a professional wrestler.
Thank you.
And
I have a little skirt, but you can't see it. It's my little, yeah, giving a little ab roll.
yeah,
Well,
but the
yeah.
makeup though. So like when you did the
Oh
makeup,
yeah, I did
is
white.
there
I've been doing that a little bit more lately. I just like the way it makes my makeup pop. I still do a
yeah.
lot of other colors, but yeah, I definitely like.
It
Yeah.
it kind of looks like the face from the Exorcist, of the
Oh,
devil face that
fun.
pops up with the white
Yes.
and the black, like how it kind of comes in like that.
Love
So
that.
there's a
Oh.
my brother said the Hex Girls.
Yes, thank you. It's the Hex Girls. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, but them, like, the lead singer of the Hex Girl just got me. And I'm just like, because she was very pale, long hair. I started doing more short hair for the summertime because it's hot as hell, but I love a long black hair. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
So this Danhausen bases his makeup off of the Exorcist face, and then and he's very comedy and very funny.
Hmm.
He's very nice but very evil, and he talks very like this. You know, he's like he's a whole thing. But when he goes like super evil, he does it differently, and it's actually like disturbing looking. But this
Yeah.
is his look.
I love this. Oh my God. He could be a
You
part of
have
my
like
family. He
like
could
a
be a part of my
female.
family.
Yeah,
I
you
love
guys look. You
it.
could be cousins with your makeup and style. Yeah,
I love
I
it.
love him so much. Once again, two worlds crossing.
I love it.
But so how did you get into this overall? Like finding your spot in this, and like, did you always know that as biological female, like I'm allowed to do this? Because like for me, I wasn't sure. And then how did you come up with the name Miss Misfit? Like, how did you come up with your persona and what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so no, I did not know that I could do this, because when I was watching Drag Race, I started watching Drag Race, like, it was always on in college and stuff, but I really didn't watch it until the pandemic, because we were all just locked in our homes and I needed
Hmm.
something to watch. And so it just when I realized what drag fully was, I was like, I need to do that. Like, I was telling you earlier before the show, like I was a theater kid, and I've missed that as an adult. But with normal job and stuff and day to day, I don't always have the time to put myself fully into a whole play or musical or whatever. And and that was also the same time I was really fully realizing who I was as a queer person.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I love this. And so then once the pandemic finished, I went to a queer bar in Harrisburg. It's Stallions. They're changing their name and stuff here soon to Karma,
I
I
heard
think it
nothing
is.
but good things about that place from other
Yeah,
straight men. Like, yo,
not a
Stallions
good
is a good
place.
time.
Like the place itself, it's a really cool establishment, like the building and everything, and it could do great. It's just some of the stuff that has happened there in the past and just how they've handled it isn't the most kosher. And so they've apparently made some differences and changes, and
I know
they're
HMAC went through that too, but the owner HMAC like tried really hard to break that old stigma, and
yeah, I
they
think
put on
they
really
have.
cool shows. Yeah,
I think so. I think they definitely have. It's definitely been safer there too. There's not as many shootings and things like that. Knock on wood.
yeah.
But yeah, I think they're doing the same thing for Karma. I've met the person who has now bought over Stallions, and they're such a lovely man. And so I think earnestly in their heart they really want a change. And I think
Hmm.
they're going to listen to the community because they've had so many meetings with many local drag queens in the area, which I think is great. And being able to express what we've seen and what we don't want to see is really important, and they're able to use that. So hopefully
Yeah.
they take it and do what they need to. But I met some of my like chosen family at Stallions, and we all started watching Drag Race there. And so once that season had ended, my friend Cameron and I, we were talking about how we wanted to basically just do a viewing party of Drag Race. Like we just really wanted a space where we wanted to bring people in and watch it because that's how we met. And so we were going to do it at Stallions. It didn't really work out just due to some of the incidences that happened. So we were like, we need to move this. So we moved it over to Brownstone, and like the rest is history. We've been there now for like going on 2 years. We've done 2 seasons of Drag Race Alley for normal Drag Race, and now we did All Stars this season because after Drag Race ended, a bunch of people reached out to me and asked me if we're doing All Stars, and so then I had to go to the owner, and they were like, "Oh," I was like, what can we do it? Like, is that okay? Like, I have like the account, da da da." And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like, if so many people want it, we might as well, which is the same thing for Dragula. I have so many people that are like, we want to watch Dragula. We'll come every week. Like, let's do it. So every Friday night around 8, we watch the Drag Race
Pro
episode.
tip:
And so,
and if Dragula people are watching, which they're not, all your episodes are not on Shudder and AMC. You're missing episodes. So I started watching season 2, and there's like 2 missing. I'm like, my OCD and my ADHD kicks in. I'm like,
right,
no, like I still
right,
haven't seen
right.
the reunion episode of season 1, and like I feel like I'm missing a part of my life. I'll have to find it on
You
DVD
are,
or
because
something.
that's a good, I know that. So yeah, I've pretty much now watched all of Dragula like 3 times through. So yeah, I know exactly. It's a good one. You need to watch it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so when we did Drag Race Alley, I was talking to the people who run the, the bar and stuff, and I presented to them, what if we could do a drag race show the first of every month? And so we started doing that. And that's kind of at the first bar I ever performed at was Brownstone. And for a while I was just doing Brownstone, and then other queens started coming, and they've now done like 704 Stallions. I've done like stuff in York, and like it's all kinds of places, which is really cool because you network and you get to know some amazing people,
Mm-hmm.
and you just kind of move on from there. But yeah, that's my bar Brownstone, and now I have like different events there that aren't just drag race related. Like in July, I have an event called The Devil Made Me Do It. We were doing Truth or Dare night for a while, and then the PR person who does like the drag stuff, they were like, so it seems like people just really like doing the dares. So why don't we just do a night for you? And I was like, that's great. Let's just do that. And so that it's just basically we just do dares throughout the night, and it's super fun. We did one last month, and we were like, we're doing it again.
I
So,
love that. The devil made me do it. That's sick.
yeah,
So
yeah,
how did
it's
you come
fun.
up with your idea, your look, your character, like the character of and the persona of Miss Misfit?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, always been a theater kid, and I really tapped into just like different horror, witchy, D&D kind of aesthetics. Like for Halloween, I just wanted to kind of do it for Halloween to see what I liked. And as soon as I put the horns on, that was like a game changer for me. I was like, oh, like I love this. And it really wasn't until I was at my one friend's house and she gave me like paint, like not like just like foundation or what. It was like actual like paint like I use now. I am getting color foundation because that seems to be the ticket for like sweating and stuff. But like she let me borrow her like special effects paint and I painted my face for the first time and I was like, oh my God, like and I have the photos. I was showing one of my friends the other day. I was like, so this is this is like baby Misfit. And I had my horns on and it was just half of my face because I didn't want to do the whole thing. It was like a Tuesday night and I was like, I'm not doing the whole face. So I just did half my face blue with my horns and my wig. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. And it's progressed since then, of course. But yeah, I don't know. And then I don't know. I've never really given thought to like how I thought of Misfit. I've just always been told I was a misfit. So it kind of just stuck for me. And with the horns and stuff, you know, I was just like, I've always literally been told I was like a misfit child for having ADHD. And then later on, I found out as an adult I have autism. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
Everyone's a
But
little on the spectrum in some point. You know what I
right,
mean? Like,
right.
yeah.
So, but I was always called like a misfit. My
Yeah.
grandma would call me that, and other people and stuff. I would have, if I would act up, like stop being such a misfit and stuff. And so it was always looked at as like a bad thing. So I kind of just wanted to turn it into something that I could like be empowered by and have a good thing with it. So
Yeah. I was just without putting names and stuff out there, but like as someone who grew up with ADHD and now as an adult, like trying to like essentially raw dog life with no medication on it and just
me
trying to
too,
like
right now. Me too. I
figuring
know.
thing out. I see like a kid and they're like, this kid is just too much. Like I can't handle it. They're just asking questions all the time. They're up my butt. Like I'm like, yeah, your kid probably has ADHD and they're trying so hard to fit in. And then if you keep denying them and making them feel lesser for that, you're gonna put them through some stuff later on in life. Like,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
have a little patience. Like,
Well, and it's crazy because like when we were kids, at least because I'll be 29 this year, and so like
yeah,
when we were kids, my parents, like my grandmother, didn't want to accept that I had that like at all. So I
yeah.
went through my whole life pretty much without medication until I got a little bit older. And now again raw dogging without it because it's just a lot to
Mm-hmm.
get any sort of medication or help now. So right, so but they just didn't want to accept that. Whereas now it's kind of like anybody wants to put their kid on medication or they just want to like blame their bad behavior, but like also like they're just sitting in front of us like no duh they have ADHD, they sit in front of a screen all day just like we do I guess now. But
Mm-hmm.
like from the moment they're born they're just like so their attention span's already whack at the beginning. So you know it's just like yeah, no wonder they're like that.
Yeah. Now, what your style of your is the do you have a piece of your look that always stays true, like that makes you Misfit?
The horns for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I'm definitely getting more different kind of horns. These ones have been just like, you know, so profound because I can just they're easy to put in my hair and they like stay because I can bobby pin them down. So these like fuckers ain't going nowhere. Like they're there. And it's hard to find ones that can stay. I have a friend, Edith Wiggles, who I've been talking like, would you make me some horns? Would you do like things for me? Because she does 3D printing, so they're lightweight like
Yes.
these ones are. Like that's what I really need is like a lightweight horn. But yeah, I would definitely say that. And then my paint. Like I always have like either like right now I'm wearing white under paint, but like I'll do different colors. So like you've seen me in red. My promo was in blue. I've done pink, orange, green. I think the only ones I haven't done is like yellow. I would like to do a gray aesthetic. That might be kind of interesting, like an old
Yeah.
school like 1920s gray. But
I
yeah,
like the
always.
blue because I'm a huge zombie fan. I love old school zombie movies. And before they actually made zombies look undead, like the original Dawn of the Dead, they painted them blue. Like because his idea thought was like, well, when a body like loses its life, it turns blue.
It does, yeah.
And they painted everyone blue. And so every time I see a zombie when they do like a blue face, I'm like, homage to George Romero, like,
Nice.
and Tom Savini, a great thing. Yeah, I love that. Have you ever done a Misfit paint where you make yourself look like the Misfit, look like the
Like just me as like this, and then like
well, you know, like the Misfit where it has like the skull almost, the skull, like the eye, yeah,
oh, like
like
the
the
band.
band.
No,
Yeah,
I haven't. Oh, that would be
that'd be
kind of
kind of
fun.
cool.
That would be
Misfit
really
and
fun
Ghost are like right at the same alley. Like I love the
for
band
sure.
Ghost. We just went and seen the movie.
Oh,
So good. It was good, but bad. Not bad. Not bad. Only bad because I knew they were gonna leave us on a hanger,
yeah.
and boy, did they ever!
Did they ever? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole theater was like, You're like,
Fuck
we
you.
fucking love
Yeah,
you.
they're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that coming up with that character and gimmick is super fun. So when you first got into it, was there a moment when it took a while to like find yourself, or you had that aha moment of like, oh, I feel like I'm hitting a good stride, and what was that moment that made you feel that way?
That's a good question. No, like from the moment like that I'm in this, I like felt it. Like there's like a moment every time I do my makeup, I joke like when I do my wings, like my not my mascara, my eyeliner. As soon as I get my eyeliner on, I'm just like, oh, not even like I'll be in a bald cap and just no hair or anything. It's just my white face or whatever color I have, and then my wings. I'm like, oh, she's there. Like hello, you know. And so as soon as I do that, I feel like I'm in that kind of persona. And yeah, it's just easy for me to be Miss Misfit when I am in all of this because like I don't see who I normally am as this and not many people do. I recognize there's people that I know out of drag, they have no idea who I am, and I think that's so fun. I feel like I'm Hannah Montana in a way. It's
Yeah,
like best of both worlds. And so in terms of like hitting a stride or anything, I don't feel like it's like plateaued or anything. I feel like if anything I'm going up, especially with the more events that I'm doing that are just customized to like me. Again, like the devil made me do it, doing like the Drag Race Alley and being able to book all those queens and stuff, and then having my brunches and having upcoming stuff like that to be able to just give other newer baby queens and drag queens like that platform to be able to do what they want. Because as much as I appreciate like the queens who, again, the hyper femme queens who want to do the pageants and want to do all those things, and who knows, I might do a pageant if it suits me. If I do it though, it's going to be very gothic, very elegant, like, so it needs to like fit with what I want to do. But like I don't feel like that's necessarily what everybody wants to do, and I don't think that that's the road that you have to take if you want to establish yourself in this like drag scene. I feel like if you just are a good performer and you do what you love and you show that, and you want to open doors to other ways, that should be enough. I don't feel like you have to go through this whole like
yeah,
pageantry thing and then booking all the things. Like you could just be a good performer, and that's enough, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just feel like so far there's nothing but up.
yeah. Now
I feel
in the
like
drag community, like I don't know the history. Like I can tell you, oh, professional wrestling's been around. Like I don't know the history of drag or how long it's been around or as an art form or a performance. But I feel like now in 2024, it's really hitting a popular stride where it's really out
it
there in
is.
the marketing. But I think where right now we're getting, Miss Pennsylvania Queen, Miss like the Queen, like, and it's that glam style
Hmm.
drag performer that's kind of being the forefront of what everyone thinks drag performances are. But it's going to be really exciting to see those times where it's like, oh, well, here's our Miss Queen Pennsylvania, here's our King of Pennsylvania, here's the
Right.
Pennsylvania Monster. You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like one form of the industry is uplifting the others for other people to get more experience. And it'd be cool to see more of your style, or like even like a Sierra style. I don't know how Sierra would identify if she's more in the monster thing because she has more of the bug stuff, but like having everyone have their niche rise because the one's rising. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like again, I think the reason why pageants are so big in the drag community is because like drag really does come from the ballroom scene,
Hmm.
right? And so that is why they're always saying like you gotta, if you want to be an established queen, you got to do some for. And I'm not saying that it's not important because one of my really good friends, Alanis Morsex, just did one of the
I love that
pageants.
name.
I know,
Yeah.
isn't it great? And to be able to see them branch out and do that pageant was really inspiring to me. But it's hard because there's not a lot of pageants as an AFAB, as a female can enter. Like I can't even enter them, and so that's frustrating. And even trans people can't enter them. And so you were just saying, with I just oh my gosh, I can't think of her. Oh my god, I gotta think of it. Serena, thank you. Okay, I was
Mhm.
trying to think of her name. The bugs, I would want to be able to make a pageant. Like again, I already am at a brunch, why can't I say a pageant, right? So maybe doing a pageant where it's just open. I don't know what the like I don't even want it to be a general theme, but
Mm-hmm.
just being, like I said, with the open call, having an open call to be able to express whatever drag you have. Same with the pageant. As long as it has the basic, like, pageanty things, whatever it is, it's like the question, and then there's like a gown, like she can make her whole gown out of like ladybugs or like some, you know what I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, and that be the, and then their talent and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been to like 3 different pageants because my friends have been in them, so I think that those are the categories.
Yeah.
But just to be able to do that, because like, you know, if I'm going to be in a traditional pageant, like all my stuff would be very gothic, and that would be something I would worry about. Like, would they accept that? Would that hit all the notes like that they want, or do they want me to be in like a massive sparkly gown? Like, I don't know if I would
Yeah.
do a massive sparkly gown. I would have some gems, but like I would have massive wings and like be all black and lace because that's what I like, right?
Yeah.
So would that be okay? So definitely making those types of events for people to be able to express all the different types of drag, because I'm not gonna, like I said, I don't hate it, but it's not like inclusive to every type of drag.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
here's a question. I hate to phrase it like this and make it a negative, but I'm not I'm looking for a positive on the end of it. But like drag, like I said, the pride and drag are overall encompassing of everyone. Love is love. Everything should be accepted. But like any industry, that's not always the case. How we said
No,
before, you can't even participate if you're if depending on how you were born, or if you're trans or anything like that. And the community is kind of catty. Like they're like, I kind of learned, if you try to run a show in somebody else's territory, it gets really like
oh
thing.
yeah,
So even
yeah,
in an industry where the whole thing is kind of like, we want to uplift the art and the community, there is still a lot of tribalism with it. So you coming into your scene, and you know how you're saying AFAB, what are some setbacks or some things that you like were that you went through or go through in your industry?
yeah. So I would say, in terms of like the pageant world, I think that's the one thing that it has been a little bit wearisome for me to get into, because of like all the regulations and all the rules, and also the prices of how expensive they are. I've always
Mm-hmm.
said, like, if I'm going to do a pageant, I'm going to get people to sponsor me, like a Girl Scout, because it's pricey even just to enter it.
Just selling
Um,
chocolates door to door.
literally, it's crazy. And again, the things that I want to do and I want to showcase, I don't want to just half-ass it. Like, if I'm doing a pageant, I wanted to like, you know, I want it to be crazy big and stuff, you know, like I want to live my toddler and tiaras fantasy, like, you know. So but in terms of being an AFAB queen, I will have to say that I'm so fortunate. Maybe it's just the area that I am in. Not just I'm in Harrisburg, and I'm talking like Lancaster queens, York queens, Philly queens. They've accepted me fully. Now, do they all know that I'm a female? I think so. I would say like a majority of them know that I'm a female, and they've all been so great. Like, I haven't really had a bad interaction, and I can't say that for other people in different places, but like
Mm-hmm.
in this area, I've been so fortunate to, and the queens love it too. They ask lots of questions, and they want to know, you know, all the things, and why I do what I do and stuff like that. And then I've also had like, yes, mama, like all the things. Like, it's been
Yeah.
really great. I haven't really had too many setbacks from being an AFAB queen. And of course, the people who I started at Brownstone with, they didn't even question it like at all. It was just like a very like, oh, okay, cool. That's great.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, yeah, I know. I haven't really had that bad of an interaction. However, you know, from watching a lot of just content, specifically, like if you've ever watched the show We're Here, you know, like there's a lot on HBO Max or whatever it's called now, Max or whatever. There's so much terrible stigma for, you know, drag queens in general, but also transgender people, and then AFAB queens. Like, it's just
Yeah.
not the same here. So I'm very fortunate. When I watch those shows, I go, oh, like I love like where I'm at, because I am able to express this weird thing and be accepted. So it's kind of
Yeah.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
like the punk scene. I love the punk scene because the punk scene's very like, F the establishment, break social norms, be who you want to be,
Yeah.
live how you want to live. But it's also very gatekeeping. Like, you don't listen to certain punk bands. You're
Oh
not
my
punk. Like,
God.
you know what I mean? Like, it's for how accepting the community is. It also could be very gatekeeping. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
who are
You're
some of
not
your
emo enough, or
influences?
you're not punk enough. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
You don't. So I always wanted to be emo punk, but I also lived in a school where like you had to be the jock or you had to be a sports guy, and if you didn't dress or if it fit that mold, forget about it. Like to this day, I'm still like I always Lily always picks on me. So I'm like, I kind of want to wear guy liner just one time to see how it feels. And she's like, do it. I'm like, I can't mentally. Like I started wearing an earring. Like the
You
earring is
should
my
go to
first
an
step.
emo night. Like, okay, so if
Yeah.
I do an emo brunch, that's perfect. Like, you can
Yeah.
wear your guy on, do all the things. Like, my partner now, that's honestly one of the things that I appreciate so much about them is that they aren't afraid to be femme and they are cool with dressing up and doing all the things and stuff like that, is to be able to just be masculine, but like positive masculinity. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing is like, you can be, and again, I won't put them on blast, but like, I don't really, their sexuality and their gender is whatever they are. They can do whatever they want. They want to put eyeliner on, they can put their eyeliner. Like, that's not gonna
Yeah. That's how
change
I look.
how I feel about who they are as a person. Like, slay,
Yeah.
like, do
I
whatever you
always
want. I'm
wanted
not
the
gonna
long
look at them
hair.
less as a man. You know what I mean? It's just
Mm-hmm.
do what you
But
need
it's
to
that
do.
weird toxic masculinity that's beaten into your skull, and you're trying to
Yes.
like I said, I'm
The
gonna
man
pierce the other
box.
ear. I'm doing the dangly earring on one side, the stud on the other. I wish I could paint my nails more. The guy, like,
Yeah.
there's more to my look that I wish I can do. I'm mentally still trying to overcome those barriers.
Well, I was gonna say the one thing I always recommend to friends, especially like men, is like just paint one nail or like the pinky and just
Yeah,
move on from there and start painting more nails. It's really fun to see like okay, I painted
yeah.
one, and then they text it, I painted three, and I'm like, yes, like,
I'll
let's
paint both
go,
hands.
it's
I've done it
exciting.
before, and you would be insanely shocked as a dude at a job how much people will stop what they're doing and be like, "Are your nails painted?" I'm like,
Oh yeah,
"Is it
oh
that
yeah,
big of a deal?" And people freak out. They freak out. Why are
yeah.
you painting your nails? What are you
And
trying to
I
do?
would say, why are you focusing on myself so much?
Exactly. Like,
Deborah,
yeah.
like, go about your day and print your stuff. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's not that, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, when I see that, I always tell people, you can observe, like, think of yourself as a sponge, observe it, do not absorb it, because they are like that all the time. And the fact that they stopped and asked you about your nail polish instead of doing what they needed to do, like, you are now the main character of their story and they are not the main character of their
Yeah.
story. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
just, and that kind of puts things into perspective, and it doesn't make you feel as bad about yourself because you're like, okay,
Absolutely,
what to do.
dude. Like leaning more into the community and in the LGBT community and going to pride events and drag shows. Like it's like I'm slowly getting more confidence in just myself, and not even like I said, as an ally. Like I'm
Yeah.
like I love their bravery, because like even though I'm not in that community, like just to openly be something small of I always wanted to paint my nails, but now
Yeah.
turn that into your sexuality. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's insanely brave and overcoming, and like I respect the scene more. You know what I mean? Or respect the lifestyle and how it shouldn't be a conversation. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
not
yeah.
really. No.
So in your industry, who are some of your influences and role models?
Sure, yeah. So I was saying earlier, like, when I started getting into drag, one of my favorite queens, like, everybody who knows me knows I love Trixie and Katya, but my aesthetic's not really them. I mean, I would say like my eye and like my make, like someone like, I basically have a stamp for my face. I do pretty much the same look except for I changed the color. Like, it's not really much different. I always do about the same face. So one could say I'm like Trixie in that respect. There we go. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
figure out the word. Um, but in terms of style and stuff, so like I usually wear a lot of corsets. I wear a lot of like cinched things. So I really love Violet Chachki, just due to, I don't know if you know who that queen is.
No, I do not.
She
I'm
was
I'm still
all,
learning.
well, it's okay. See, it was season 7 of Drag Race. They were also in the same season of Trixie. You can see the difference in their level of quality of drag. Trixie's definitely come a
Yeah.
long way, and Violet has just excelled from what she was at anyway. But she was just, one of the things I really liked that she had said was, there was a style of drag or a level of drag that I wanted to see, and I just didn't see it, so I did it myself. And I said, yep, I agree to that statement very much, because there was this type of drag that I wanted to see and a level of drag that I wanted to see that I wasn't seeing, because I was going to a lot of different drag brunches, a lot of different things, and I loved what I was seeing. But I was like, oh man, that'd be so cool if they were a little bit more gothic, or if they were a little bit more blood, or a little bit more this. You know what I mean? There was always things, and maybe that was my inner theater kid. I don't know, but like I was like, oh, there was just something that could have been cooler. I would have done it this way. And so after a while, and I was talking to my friend Cameron because we wanted to do this whole drag race alley. I was like, what if I did like drag? Like, what if I did, And so she was definitely that inspiration of like, well, I don't see it, so might as well create it. And then I was telling you earlier, as time went on, I started doing drag a little bit before I saw Got Mick, but like a lot of people, especially when I'm doing my white face, they're like, "Oh, you look like Got Mick," and I'm like, "Oh, thank you." So I definitely pull from those kind of, because all I ever knew was Drag Race. Like I didn't know any of the local queens except for. Uh, I'll give her a shout out because I do love her dearly. Callie Couture is one of my like I adore. Do you know who Callie is? You have
Mm-mm.
to know. No.
I don't. I
Oh my
don't.
God, you have to
Is that
look
like
up
the
who
John
Callie
Cena
is.
of drag?
Yeah, so like Callie is one of the biggest queens in this area, and she was the
Really?
one who, yeah, for sure. And so she was the queen that I went to like one of my first drag brunches. And when I saw Callie perform, Callie doesn't do the same drag as me. She does very hyper feminine drag, but stunning, like completely a 180 out of drag. And but when they performed, same thing, very much like Violet, they held themselves with this like power and this like dignity. Like I just could see, just resonated off of her. And then when they performed, I would like like all the things. And I would say they're definitely a stunt queen because they jump off bars and they do death drops and all the things. But even just standing there evoking a crowd is so captivating. And I was like, oh, I want to perform like Callie, like that.
Yeah.
I know I could do it to that standard, and just watching her, how she commands her room and everything. So, but other than that, I didn't know many other queens in the area besides just like the Drag Race queen. So once I saw Callie, I was like, I'm going to perform just as well as they do.
Yeah. There was somebody at Schuylkill County Pride. Maybe Lily or Sierra can help me out with it. I believe they're Miss Pennsylvania queen. I think they
Oh,
have their
Anita,
what's
the one who just won.
no, maybe I thought their name was like their it was like a three in the late like Beetlejuice, but it's not, but it's a
Oh,
different
Morgan,
name.
Morgan, Morgan. I
Morgan,
love
Morgan,
Morgan,
Morgan.
Morgan, Morgan. Okay, so talking about Morgan, Morgan, Morgan. I didn't know Morgan, Morgan, Morgan until I got into drag, and they're probably. I don't want to like rank the queens, but I love the Callie and Morgan. So
Yeah.
Morgan, Morgan, Morgan. I tell my friends all the time.
Beetlejuice. I'm
Um,
sorry.
I
See how I
mean, Morgan.
remember things?
No, yeah, yeah. If Morgan watches this later, she's gonna love this. But like, I tell people all the time. I was like, we haven't talked about this yet, but like there's a whole thing about drag families and like drag siblings and drag da da da. Da. And I've always kind of been like, I don't really need a drag family, but if like Morgan anytime asked me to be her drag daughter, I would say yes. Like
Yeah.
immediately. I freaking love Morgan. And Morgan's just always been so supportive of my drag. And every time they see me, they just boost me up to make me feel so good. And
Hmm.
I already feel pretty good in drag, but then like she just boosts you up to she's like a mama. And the level of drag that she does, again, like Callie, like a whole 180 when they're in drag, they look completely different.
Yes.
And it's so good. Like they do so many, I've seen so many of their performances now, and each time it's different. They can captivate a room like no other. And it's just, they're so nice in and out of
Yeah.
drag. Yeah.
Well, even like
Yeah.
when you're at a band or a wrestling show, I'm for people listening, I know I'm doing a lot of wrestling references, but that's my comfort zone. That's what I know. But like you go to a show and there's just someone who's performing at that show or and wrestling that is just like, wow, they're a bigger deal. Like you're in a
Hmm.
room full of people who are
Yeah.
chasing their dream, and everyone's very talented and everyone's very passionate, but someone's head and shoulders better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And I don't want
Yeah.
to rank people, but like the way Morgan conducted themselves, the way they walk, the
Yes.
way they talk, the way they
Yes.
perform, the way they do. Like I had a
Hmm.
conversation with them. They're on a different level than like
Way different.
the
Yeah.
only other person I've ever met that's on a level like that. And once again, no shade, no disrespect, is like Trixie. Trixie
Yeah.
Valentine is someone like gets it. Like there's doing it and then there's making it a business. And I feel
Yeah.
like both of them are on a really high level. Like Morgan, I think is a really, really high level. Like I feel like I don't know if they have been or they are there that level of
Oh,
TV.
yeah.
They should be.
I know. I agree. There is this when when you're in drag, there's this level of like monetizement. There's a
Yes.
level of like who are you as a queen and how are you going to perceive yourself? And I would agree like with Trixie and with Morgan and even with Callie, it's like they they're a different, maybe it's because of the pageants they've done, and because again, like that's a huge
They're
thing,
seasoned.
like the pageants kind
Yeah.
of, they do teach you this kind of decorum and a way to hold yourself and things like that, which is really great. But they've also done so many different performances. They've pushed themselves. They've been in, all of them have been in, like I've only been doing this going on 2 years, for like next January will be 2 years, so really I'm only a year and a half. And so, and I recognize that there are things that, like, I just did a very slower song at Halifax Pride, and I could recognize inside my bones that that was a very weird, different song for me, but I liked it because it challenged who I was. And same for those three other queens. They do different stuff all the time. So because they push themselves and they've done all those different things, they are at a different level than a lot of us others, because they aren't just doing their same shtick. They're doing something that, they might not be comfortable with. And then they're like, oh, this is fun. This is cool. I'm going to adapt. So
Yeah.
yeah, they have like, they're like an onion, like a blooming onion. They just know
Yeah.
so many different layers of themselves.
Yeah, there's people who show up to the shows at any industry, and they're there to have fun. They're there to be part of the scene. They're there to socialize, be with their friends, and have that family environment. And then there's some that are like, no, I'm here because I want to make this something more. And they're definitely on that level. Another
Oh
one that
yeah.
I just to kind of give people their roses, seeing them for the first time at Trixie's show, and then now seeing them progress and grow. They're getting to that level too.
Oh yeah. Oh
Delaney
my God. Yeah.
Delaney's really found themselves. Like
Yeah.
when they first came out and performed at the Sanctuary, I
Hmm.
was like, oh, this is over. Whoever's in this competition, it's fucking roll the credits. This one's over. You know what I mean?
They are very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Serena, yeah. Sorry, Sierra. I'm very proud of. Like, yeah, but
You should be. I mean,
Delaney's getting
it's
that
real.
like that
Go ahead.
swagger about, like, we're like, oh, I belong.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
those intangibles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But once you kind of learn what's your, again, you can do your niche. That is not something that is bad. I'll go for it all ahead. But like, again, like just pushing, even a simple song can push yourself out of the element. I was saying earlier, like my friend Alanis did the pageant, and that inspired me to be like, oh, maybe I will try to do something, or maybe create my own pageant, because I like doing the same thing at times at bars and yada yada yada. But the reason I did drag was to push myself. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
was to do something different, to be more than what I am outside of my normal life. So why not go above and beyond and be stupid with it and have a fun time? Because at the end of the day, that is what people like.
Mm-hmm.
They like the sexy and sultry but they like it when you're stupid and
Yeah.
having a fun time with it
I'm
and not
nailing
taking
stupid.
yourself
I'm
too
not so
seriously.
much the sexy, but I'm working.
Yeah, yeah. It's just fun. You just want to have fun. You want to see
Yeah.
things that you don't normally see in your everyday life, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Absolutely. So outside of your industry, what are some interests or hobbies that you have? I know you kind of
Sure.
said a little bit you're into like pop culture and stuff like that, horror. So
Oh yeah.
what's if you're not in drag and you're not at home, you're at home and you're chilling and vibing, what are you doing?
Definitely watching lots of horror movies. I build a lot of Legos. I'm a Lego
Ooh.
fanatic. Oh, I love Legos.
What's your prize possession set?
I'm a slut for Legos. Oh, right now? Okay, so I have two. I have my Polaroid camera, but I'm going to be purchasing because I just finished that. I want to purchase the Spider-Man head that's like it sits on a mount and like it's the
Yeah.
big Spider-Man head. I want to get that. I'm actually going to get like floating shelves for my bedroom to put like my Lego decor, because after this, like, it's so sick. Like I already know, like after I do the Spider-Man head, I know the next set that I want to buy. Like I just have so many sets.
I have two on my
And so,
radar.
dude, yeah. And so
Home
besides the
Alone
Polaroid,
house. Have you seen that
uh,
one? The
which
Home
one?
Alone house?
Yes, but I want to get the Starry Night. So like the Starry Night thing that looks like a painting and
Yeah.
you can
Yeah,
put. I
yeah.
want that next after the Spider-Man head. But yeah, no, I love my Polaroid camera, and I really love my little Super Mario like plant head thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like super cool,
The
and you can
piranha
throw
plant.
like coins in it. Yeah, like I love that. Everybody doesn't even know like it's a Lego thing when they walk in because of where I have it displayed. So that's kind of fun. Um,
The Hogwarts castle is really cool too.
I know my friend has that. She's putting it on her dresser. It's like she said like 30 bags or something, some shit. It's
Insane.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Her and her husband have just been like slowly putting it together. But other than that, like I work a lot most of the time throughout the week. Weekend, I'm working. Yeah, I work for a nonprofit. I'm a supervisor over there, so I do a lot of that stuff. You know, when you're managing a bunch of people's lives. That takes up a lot of your time. But other than that, I'm just like chilling, binge watching horror movies or shows. Love like just like I feel like any woman, the murder documentaries, like those
Yeah,
kinds of shits. I love
yeah.
that. Just relaxing and vibing with my. I live with my partner and my best friend, so it's really nice to be able to have those two around just to kind of vibe with. And then all my other friends live very close, so we're always just kind of hanging out, having movie nights. After the brunch, we're all actually getting together because there's a movie that I've been telling them to watch and they haven't watched it. It's called Saltburn. If you haven't watched it, watch Saltburn. It's insane.
I'm writing it on the
Plugging,
board right now. Yeah.
writing it on the board, plugging it now. If I could get proceeds, that'd be great. No, but it's
What
freaking
platform is it on?
wild. It's like, as somebody, they're like, well, how would you explain it? I was like, I haven't been that like stunned by a movie. If you would like say Hereditary and Midsummer had a baby, like
Oh,
in my mind, that's how fucked it was in my head. Like it was just really good, and it really had me like. And at the end, I was like, no, like that's insane. So it was
so
really good.
I do movie reviews on as well as interviews, right?
We should just do that. I would love that. I would love to come on out of drag or in drag, but just to
Did
talk
you
about
meet
movie
Dante
reviews.
at the drag shows for Trixie?
Huh?
Dante's a content creator,
Oh
Dante
yeah.
Elizabeth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Dante have been doing a ton of movie reviews. We just did Abigail. We did
I saw
the
that one. I
Late Night with
loved
the Devil.
Abigail.
Yeah, Late Night with the Devil. Yeah,
Yes, that
so
was a good one too. I
maybe
love
come
those
on and
two.
do Saltburn with me.
Yes, I would love to do that. I loved those two movies though, Late Night with the Devil and Abigail. I
Mhm.
was a little skeptical of Abigail, and then I watched that by myself. And my best friend, I was just saying, she was like, "Oh, I don't have time for like a whole movie," and I was like, "Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm still gonna put it on. I got to do some work." She sat down for the whole movie. She was sucked in.
It
She
was a
was
great
like,
heist movie too. It was good comedy, good heist, good action, horror. The gore was awesome. It was
"It was so
perfect.
good." She was like, "I'm so sorry for what's about to happen," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh." It was so
Yeah.
clever. It was so clever. I liked it a lot. But yeah, no, I would love to come on and do those. That'd be really, really
Perfect.
fun.
You,
Yeah.
you heard it here. Everyone who's enjoying this one, we're going to be doing more content. What are some words of encouragement for someone who's just starting out in your industry?
Yeah. Okay. So what I would recommend, and I've said this to a lot of people who want to start drag, is that do not, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse in here. I've already
Yeah,
cursed.
absolutely.
Okay, great. Do not give a fuck about what people think about your drag. Of course, it's okay to take opinions and like critiques and stuff. Like one of the things is like I overdraw my lips now. I didn't overdraw my lips when I first started, and I was like, that's fucking stupid. And then I did it one time and I was like, I get it. I get it. Okay. I didn't say it to them. I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. But in my head, I was like, no. But you do it, right? And so always be polite. That's the other thing. It's like, don't give a fuck and, do what you want to do, but take that criticism to some degree, play around with it. Like if somebody says they hate your drag completely, that's their opinion. But if they're saying something like, hey, maybe you should do like a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that, don't be like, so like, you know what I mean? A lot of queens can be like that. And I'm not saying like, cause I have people that are like, I don't like your aesthetic at all. Like you should be blonde or you should do this or you should do that. And I do change it up a bit, but at the end of the day, like my aesthetic's my aesthetic. But there are queens, and you kind of pick up on the vibe. Like, which queens are just being mean or which people are being mean and which people are trying to be nice to you and try to give you
Mm-hmm.
actual, like, tips. But the other thing is, like I said, be nice. I'm not saying you have to be a bitch and, that's not like you don't have to be that and be confident. But in terms, I've personally, if you're not nice and you don't have some sort of like politeness or you're not like reciprocating that good energy, no one's going to want to book you. No one's going to want to be around you. No one, you know what I mean? It's just
Mm-hmm.
general like niceness, I'm not like, again, I'm not saying you don't got to be like, oh, I'm the shit. You can, but don't be disrespectful. I've been in that area where, my first year doing Drag Race Alley, we booked some really disrespectful queens. And I was like, nope, never again. Like, we're not doing that. Like, there's just a level of kindness that should be expressed around.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
at the end,
kind of add to that on
Mhm.
Dragula season 1. From the moment I seen Vander, I was like, they're winning it, and I love the way they conduct themselves. They were in a
Yes.
room full of people who were tearing each other apart and making fun of
Yeah.
each other and being kind of
Yeah.
rude and mean, and they just stayed quiet and they listened and because the beautiful thing about I don't know if it was booked this way. I'm not calling shenanigans here, but it came down to a spoiler alert. It came down to a person who does more queen style drag, who was
Mhm.
a very, very popular queen who entered a realm that they're not used to, and someone who's never performed drag but did really good special effects makeup.
Yeah.
But the way they went in there with the attitude, like, so almost like a Morgan, where they came in with that stature of like, I know what I'm doing. I know how to perform. I'm good at what I do. I just need to learn this to make myself more well-rounded. And the other person was like, I'm going to come in and be respectful, but I know my makeup and my aesthetic is good, and I'm going to stay true to myself. And they were the finals. And it was, I don't know if the show gets any better past that, but season 1 set a real high bar for the rest of the show going forward. And they were two outsiders.
There's good stuff coming forth, but yeah.
But Vander was very respectful and didn't play into the cattiness and didn't play into the disrespect or the meanness, and just like stayed true to themselves. And I was like, I love them. They were super cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being, cunty and being the I'm
the
shit.
I mean, that's kind of comes with it too, right?
Yeah, but like, I feel like I've made so many great friends because of drag. And if I'm just like not talking to people, I go to a gig and I don't talk to anybody, I don't socialize, I don't network, that's the biggest thing is like, book the benefit shows. That was the other thing I was going to get at is like, don't just book the paid gigs, book the fucking benefit shows. Like, I've learned that a lot of queens will not do benefit shows because they're not getting paid. And yeah, I get it. It's great to be paid, but you can get paid with tips. But also the benefit shows are where you're going to get to meet all the other queens. Some queens you're never going to get to know. They have other shows. They have other things. You get to network. You get to be with these people that appreciate the same art form and also will have opportunities line up for you later. So might as well do the benefit shows, do the things that you might not get paid for, be able to be nice, be able to network and just build a community. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't know, there is, like you said earlier, there are these like little caveats and little like, I forget the word you use, but just like not the clicks, but just like the thing, there's drama, there's all kinds of things in the community. I'm not about all that. Like, I'm just like, why don't we all just get along? Like, why don't we all just have a fun time? And it's funny that they all think they're like, we wouldn't think that you're like that because you're a you're Miss Misfit, you're the devil. You would think you would want to start shit and get things brought up. I'm like, no.
The devil's misunderstood.
I was like, I'm not here to take your guys' souls down. You're already rotted. You're gonna go to hell. I'm bringing down all the other people. Like, I don't care about y'all. Like, so, but yeah, that's definitely for me. That's, I think, what's helped me be so successful is that, like, I've always had a positive outlook. I've always been very nice and friendly, and that's just who I am outside of drag too, and I've been able to make a lot of good connections, which has helped me be able to, like, when I do have these things like the brunch coming up on Sunday, I can post about it. And I have so many people, honestly, it was very overwhelming, say, I want to do your brunch. Like, let me do it. And even people in Philly I've never even met want to do it. And that's what's so cool. Like, that was a very humbling experience for me where I was like, wow, like, it's getting out there that people want to do this stuff with me. And I think that's really cool. I just want to make sure that the queens feel accepted and happy at my shows and stuff. And they're doing a show that they're like feeling appreciated at, you know what I mean? It's not just like another show.
I actually didn't ask this question. How long have you been in the drag community and doing it?
I said it a little bit ago. Like, I've been doing it for 2 years. So like,
that's what it was. Yeah, too.
Yeah. So like this coming January, so I would say January 2025 would be my 2 years. So I've only been doing it about like a year and a half, which is wild.
Yeah, and you're putting together your own shows. This is kind of cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I do in the brunch. I'm going to be doing more of those coming up. I have the shows and stuff at Brownstone and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, I think you doing things your way and bringing your style out and doing something different is cool, and I'm definitely on board. I cannot wait to come out and support. We're definitely making a trip to Harrisburg for a Friday night drag fall. The first time I watch RuPaul will be at a bar at one of your events. That's how I'm going to do it.
It's going to be so much fun. It'll be so much fun.
And the closing question before we get out of here, and if anyone has any other questions in the chat, please get them in right away because it is getting a little late. I don't want to keep Miss Misfit up too late. But what are you grateful for, and are you happy?
I would say that I'm grateful for, in general, my chosen family, because like my normal family is quite unhinged. I have a few family members that I'm kind of close to, but like at the end of the day, like my chosen family has been everything to me, and they've been so amazing in this journey for me and how they've supported me and always just been there. Like, through all the ups and downs. So like I feel like I'm giving like a pageant speech. But I feel like I have to thank them because they've always just been there for everything. And they know that like sometimes when I feel like I'm not going to, I have a very high expectation for myself. So if I feel like there's some days where, you have that negative Nancy or Linda in your head and you're like, this isn't, I'm just going to stop. It's not that big of a deal. They're always like, no, like you have to keep going. So I appreciate them for that. And then the drag performers that I've met, they're the same thing. Right. So I feel like because of my drag brunch and because of the open calls and all the other things, like I was saying earlier, I would love to do a pageant. And because of that, I know that there are people who want to do it. And because of that, I inspire them and I like encourage them to be able to look forward to something. And that makes me happy, right? Because I feel like so many of us live in like, I work a normal 9 to 5 and you get kind of caught in that circle. You live in that rut. And that's why I decided to do drag, is because it gives me that escapism and it gives me that time to be able to leave this boring, sometimes mundane world and do something more exciting and elaborate. And that gives people that option too, even people who feel like they have nothing to live for. You know what I mean? I've met people that have come up to me and they have said, like, even though I'm not ready to do this yet, they're like, I want you to be my drag mom. And I'm like, I'm not ready for all that. But like, I inspire them to do drag and to be something more than themselves. And I never thought I could be able to do something like that. So as somebody who is, like I said earlier, I work in a nonprofit. I'm a helper at Trait. To be able to help people in drag is a whole other level, which is why I'm so excited that my brunch is a drag all ages brunch, because it inspires people to be like, oh, you can do a normal 9 to 5 and you can do this on the weekend. You know what I mean? It's so cool to be able to showcase that to people. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm really grateful for.
I love
For
that.
sure.
Ryan Vlog says, fun interview. Further proof that all entertainment is pretty much the same. It is.
Correct.
Ryan, I'm telling you, I've been going to these shows. I'm like, it's so pro wrestling. I love it.
Come, Brian, come to the
Yeah.
drag brunch. It'll be really fun.
Ryan's been a longtime wrestler, promoter, so it honestly, I think the more that different industries can mesh with each other. So like I started in the music and learning that aspect, not a musician, but like how to set up shows, how to get booked, how to do this, then learn pro wrestling, and now learning this. Like if you take a little piece of the wrestling world and put it in here, maybe your booking will get better, or you can do shows differently, or you know what I mean? Like,
well,
yeah,
who was the queen? I don't want to keep you out. I'm chilling. I'm having a
I'm
great
good.
time.
I'm good too. Yeah.
But the one who did, I can't, Cherry something, they did the drag race battle, and then later they did wrestling at that event, and I was living for it. I can't remember who it was.
Shirley joking.
Shirley. Yeah,
So
Shirley. I
so
said
that
Cherry.
they are
Shirley.
actually that is actually a pro wrestler. So they're a theater kid, went to Bloomsburg for theater, got
Yeah.
into professional wrestling, a fantastic professional wrestler, but then also said, I would love to do the drag because they're part of the
They were
community.
stunning, first of all. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh. And then when they did the wrestling, I was living for it. I was like, this needs to be something. Like,
So Shirley, or as we know Shirley as J.S. Hawthorne, the thespian, they only really do the drag performances at the sanctuary, but I feel they're good enough to do them everywhere. Yeah.
oh, I love it. It was so
And
fun.
what makes Hawthorne stand out is the body hair. Like
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
literally they're in a coat always. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
yeah.
And they're ginger. So it's just like, it's stunning. It's just so
Yeah.
pretty. Oh,
Hawthorne is the perfect 70s 80s wrestler who should have like if they were put in a different time, they would have been bigger than an Iron Sheik. Like they're so talented. They're just well rounded. They can do anything. They're just very
oh,
creative, smart people. Yeah, I love that you remember
definitely.
Hawthorne. That rat made my
Oh,
day.
I loved it. It was my favorite. It was my
Yeah,
favorite part of the evening. I loved
yeah,
it. It was great.
yep.
Great. Well,
Um,
thank you. I love
uh,
this.
yeah.
Oh,
So, Lily says, who has helped you the most in your journey?
ooh. Who has helped me most in my journey? I have to think about that. Honestly, okay. So I would say Madam D. Do you know who Madam D is? She's
I
gonna
do
love
not.
this if she sees
Yeah.
this. Madam D is gonna be like,
So when I say
ah!
I don't know somebody, it's not because I don't. I want to learn. So when I
Yeah.
say no, I don't want to be like sure just to say it.
Mhm.
Like so, if anyone
Yeah.
whose name has been said on this is an open platform. Please come on and let
Yeah.
me learn about you.
And I love Madam D, Miss Daquan. And we always I love her because we can read each other for filth all the time because Madam D always wears sneakers and shit. She sees this later, she's gonna like message me. But I get it why she wears sneakers. But when I first started doing drag, there were things like she loved my drag, but there, like I said earlier, you can think you're the shit and that's great. But there are some queens that you can tell that are generally just reading you to be rude and reading you because they want to see you do better. And so Madam D is one of those queens where they honestly just were telling me things to be better. She was the one who told me about making my lips like a little bit bigger, like overdrawing my lips, and maybe like my contour could be a little bit like softer and da 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 da. So like they were able to give me, and I thought it was silly at the time because they don't paint like me. So I was like, how would they know? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense. And so once I started, just playing around with makeup and like, oh, well, Madam D said that, maybe I'll try that a little bit. And I did it. And then I would go out or not around her. And then they would all like other queens be like, I love your lips. Oh, I love this. And I'm like, motherfucker. Like
Yeah.
she was right. Like what the hell? And so I really appreciate like those kinds of people that like really help me. And I would also say another one would be Scarlet Overkill. They're one of my ghoul friends.
Great name.
Scarlet. Yes, I know. Scarlet has been a really big inspiration for like, I love their outfits. And so like, I'll look at their outfits. And also there's another one who lives out in Wilkes-Barre. Her name's Tequila Divine. And those,
Tequila, I
Tequila?
believe, wrestled. Performed at the Sanctuary, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Tequila I love. And so Scarlet does a lot of like the emo punk stuff that like are kind of what I'm wearing now, but then Tequila does a lot of the burlesque kind of thing. So seeing both of them as well has really, like, I've seen it and I'm like, oh, I love their aesthetic. I want to build and combine the two together and make a little baby, So
Mhm.
seeing those kinds of queens really do inspire me to do different kinds of things with my drag. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, the punk, like I said, going back to the Dragula, like I was watching season 1, I was into it. And I was like, this is fun. And then the season finale when they did the filth, the glam, the filth on season 1, when I'm not gonna like, I'll just say the defecation. That I was like, fuck yeah, like not because I'm into it,
So good.
because it's
So
filth.
good.
Like, and then the crucifix part, like
Yeah.
I watched those two scenes. I'm like, I don't care who wins. They're both awesome.
I know. Well, and like, so season 4, the one that just came on, great. I actually just went to see the Boulay Brothers out in Philly.
Mhm.
What was it? The end of May? It was like the end of May. It was so good to be able to see some of those queens. Like, I highly recommend looking up like Throb Zombie or Gothic and some of those queens in Neo. Like,
Mhm.
they did so well. But you were earlier, the question that was asked was like some of the other queens that I inspire from. Like I was saying, if I would ever do a ball, like I would totally pull from Sigourney Beaver, which is another great freaking drag name.
Yeah.
But she's more glamour. Like even they talk about it in season 3, I think she's in, of Dragula. She doesn't do a lot of filth or horror. She does a lot of glamour, but it's so good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I would love to do that. And that's another AFAB queen. They're female.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really?
yes, so stunning, so freaking good. But yeah.
Yeah. Tequila went against Oliver, and it. Like I said, I've never seen battle thing, but I still
I
think
didn't
the
even know
best.
Tequila did that. That's so cool.
Yeah. The best battle I've ever seen still at the Sanctuary, hands down, was Oliver versus Tequila.
Yeah, Tequila's
It was
great.
unbelievable. It was
Yeah, and
really good.
Tequila again, AFAB queen. She's, well, actually no, I don't know 100%. I haven't gotten to meet Tequila in person. I would have to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're an AFAB queen or if they're trans, but I think they're AFAB if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. Yeah.
That's the beautiful part about this industry, is
Right. And
you can
like,
be
does it
whatever you
matter?
want, and
Not really.
no one knows. Yeah, and
If it
because
matters
you're
to them, it matters
presenting
to them. But
something,
to
you know what
me,
I mean?
I don't care. You can be whatever. She's stunning. I love her. Oh my God. I've
Yeah.
always said, like, if I ever meet Tequila, I would be like, please be my wife. I love you. Love her.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I really. Oh, they did "Marry the Night" by Lady Gaga as a bride and groom. Yes,
Oh, I bet that was
there was a lot
phenomenal. Oh,
of. It made you feel
fantabulous.
a certain way. It made you feel.
I
It
bet you
was a
that was good.
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Holy shit!" Like it's still on the
Me
Sanctuary
not going.
website. If you guys,
I was gonna go through your guys' videos and see if I can find it.
yeah, it's on the Sanctuary. Definitely go watch it.
Yeah.
In closing, is there anything else you want to talk about, promote, get out there, let people know about? Any other performers you want to put over?
No, I mean, that's really it. Well, actually, okay, so I do the performers that we have for the brunch is going to be Alanis Morissette, Kiana, and then Scarcity. So they're all from different areas. I think they're phenomenal. They're all very different than from what I would do, and that's kind of what I want. I want to be able to showcase a bunch of different kinds of drag to everybody for the drag brunch. So I wanted to give them a little shout out. But like other than that, no, I really appreciate you having me on. I had such a great time.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have you back on to do some movie reviews. We can do like, so I do movie, horror, like anything pop culture. So it's a comic book. If it's a TV show, now don't make me watch like Supernatural where I have to watch 13 seasons before, you know what
We won't do
I
that.
mean?
No.
But or even if you are like any movies or TV shows, anything like that, comedy, I'm into all of it. I want to documentaries. You want to talk about documentary? I'm
We
in.
can like watch The Last of Us. I've been wanting to or The Witcher or some shit like that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
All that stuff. So I do those reviews as well as I'm bringing in a show called Blazing Buds that's coming very soon, where
Cool.
that's involved, or I don't know, or craft beer. I love craft beer. I'm bringing that stuff back, and
Oh,
then I think this is the first time I'm probably going to announce this publicly. But I used to do a show called Truth Behind Illusion, which is very metaphysical, paranormal stuff like that, and it's going
oh,
to be
fun.
essentially hosted by Lily with me as the co-host because she's more into it. I'm the open-minded skeptic, so I'm going
Mhm.
to bring that element, but we're also looking for other people to come and talk to us
Oh,
and
I would
tell us
totally
cool
do
ghost
that.
stories and cryptids and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That'd be really fun. Oh, I would love to come on for something like that. Oh, heck
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm always
Cool.
looking for more people. So if you know anyone who's in a band or art or anything like that, drag, wrestling,
Okay.
I want to hear more people's stories and art and learn about more cultures and different I would say groups or scenes.
Yeah.
I like the scenes. Like I like to say the
Right.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Different
Yeah.
performers, different types of lifestyles. Absolutely. For sure. For sure. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. And if anyone's in the Harrisburg area on the 30th, what time does doors open and stuff like that? Let's
Sure.
cover
So
that.
the doors open at 12, sorry, not 10, 12, and the show starts at 12:30. But it's drag time, so probably 12:45.
Yeah. So I have to get with you, but I'm what time are you arriving?
I'm going to get there around 11.
Okay. I'll try to get there a little earlier because guys, I was dead serious. I will bring a camera and film the show if you want me
Oh,
to.
that would be so helpful.
Yeah, I'll come earlier and set that up and try to get some stuff done. So we'll get you some good quality, at
Okay,
least for your
cool.
first show, and then you can have it and put it on your social media, or the performers can take their performances and clip it up and put it out there for people to see.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone, make sure you go check out the links below. If you're in the Harrisburg area, please come join us. There's no cover, no admission. So
No.
come and support. Put your money into the performers and into the venue, and let's have some more fun. If the wife and I could make it, we would. To drive 6 hours for a brunch for our
Oh,
first show. Super sad I have to skip this one. Listen, Austin, there's a lot more
there'll be
coming up. So
more.
next time you're in the area, we will find a show for you to go to. I went to their house. I went to go see my brother in Virginia. And he's like, "What are you into now?" I go, "Do you have Shudder?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "You have to watch this show." And they put on episode 1, season 1 of Dragula. They watched the entire season in one
Hooked.
day. They're hooked. Yeah, yeah.
Loved it. I
So we
love
bonded
that.
over drag. I learned about a community, and I passed it on to my brother and his wife. Yeah.
Oh, yay.
The
Yes.
power of drag. Yeah. But thank you so much for this. I cannot wait to have you on for some movie reviews coming up very soon. Make sure you check out the links below to support and follow Miss Misfit on all social media.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you know anyone who wants to be on, please hit me up. I'd love to have you come join and do an interview and have a great conversation. With that being said, that's going to do it for episode 150. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We're out of here.